Here in Latin America and here in Panama, we have been now proposing to the government a flat tax system. We have encountered a lot of resistance, basically because the tax system is very much ingrained also into an incentive. I would say perverse incentives, tax incentives to certain economic factors.
Yeah.
What would be your advice in terms of what do you think we should do and what the pitfalls we should avoid to move into this system? And what are your ideas on, is it not true, which I would think it is, that a lot of these special tax systems or tax systems with a lot of exceptions is really the result of a protected economy?
I absolutely agree with you. And when we are now looking on this attempt to introduce the flat tax in Western Europe, in so-called old Europe, then this is the main problem. Most of the economists and even more and more politicians agree that the flat tax is more effective, flat tax is more fair, and flat tax brings more money to the budget. But when they start to introduce it, the main resistance comes from the groups who are having these exceptions. And there where it stops very often, because then the political fight comes so high that the politicians just couldn't press it through in one or other country. And at the same time, the second thing what the politicians know or every analyst know is that these exemptions are not working. They are by the idea targeted to help some groups or somebody, but when you start to study the picture, then they are not helping them. There is very often very wasted interest. There is very distortion of the market. So they are not effective, they are not giving the real results. But they are there, and these groups who are having them are always ready to protect them.
And very powerful.
And very powerful.
Very powerful lawyers.
So my advice to look into the tax reform strategy, and that is why what some other countries in Western Europe are doing, is just when you couldn't press through the flat tax immediately, then do two things. First of all, cut the layers of taxation, make the tax system flatter so much as you can, because it's significantly better to have only two of them as the 5 or 6 or so on, and lower, of course, the highest bracket and raise the lowest bracket. So move more people out of taxation. That is the idea as well. Then the next thing at the same time, deal with exemptions. Every exemption what you can move away will make the way to the flat tax easier, because then when you will want to do reform, the such of resistance will be small. And when you're taking these steps, these are steps in the right direction. But of course, my advice always is why do cut the dog's tail in lots of small pieces when you can do it at once? So
don't cut every centimeter.
Yeah, that's always better, but I am not very normal politician, so sometimes.
But you have not very normal rate of growth. Estonia 20 years ago didn't exist as a country and was part not of the United States but part of Russia or the Soviet Union, which was a total disarray. And still today, Russia is way back in the lower ranks of any index of economic freedom. In fact, I would have to say here that Estonia, 20 years ago, was nothing, and today is ranked 19 in the new institutional inequality index that we just had come out with. The Institute of Policy Network, in conjunction with a group of libertarian think tanks, including Fundación Libertad, did this study. One thing that intrigues me too is how your flat tax, and is it part of your flat tax, the payroll tax, for example, how you finance through this tax system the social security contribution?
This is now we can say, new idea, which will be the next step from the flat tax. And it's soon discussed in Estonia, and probably I can do this in Georgia, where I am working as advisor to the President. I think this is a very good idea. It's not yet done and over. in this way to combine the payroll tax and low level flat income tax. But I think this is a very promising idea, and we will see how it goes. This is proposed in Estonia soon to have that kind of tax reform, and it's not only proposed, but it's now drafted as the first country in Georgia, which is having one of the lowest flat rate tax system in the world, again operating very well. And I think looking on the modern economy and looking on the problems what we have in Estonia, by example, in different areas, it can be quite good idea from my point of view.
And I understand that your own pension system, your own somewhat of a challenge, because you inherit some pensions that you have to pay from the old regime, and there were people, as you were telling me earlier, people that were prisoners in Siberia for many years, and they could not pay to the system for a while, and then you would have, they deserve a better pension, and you're now financing this. How are you, I mean, is this system now a capitalization system, or
no,
how are you dealing with this?
It's soon under reform process. So during my second government, we launched quite radical pension reform in Estonia, which is basing on the Chilean insurance model. So we can say in 10 or so years we will be moving absolutely to the new system. It's a process which takes 10 to 15 years time, and we are done in 5 years, and 10 years are ahead. Then the transition will be over, and we can move to the full insurance based system. But at the same time, I think there is always solution can be found, because there's support. We can say we can qualify this not as a pension but as social support, and this can be actually paid from the budget directly. It's not necessary to connect them in this way. So it depends from the decisions. It's harder when you have one pension system in place. For the Georgia it's easier because they are not having, because they were so collapsed 3 years ago that they didn't even have the pension system. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have the gas heat in the winter. They didn't have roads. They didn't have nothing. That was country which has been absolutely ruined, and now they are moving very well and very fast. But there are always solutions can be found. You can find 1,000 reasons why not to do some reforms, and nevertheless, the only good solution is to do them.